You're welcome on yet another topic here on Black Hot Fire Network with Africa Maria from Kampala, Uganda. Today, of course, is Wednesday, and of course, it's 31 past 7 p.m. East African time. You're welcome once again. This is Africa Maria live on Black Hot Fire Network. Okay. Today's topic is a topic that is running everywhere in Africa of recent and Uganda in particular. So for in history, Africa has not been so much into DNA and all that stuff. People have been believing in their traditional ways, to test whether the children belong in that clan or that family. People had their beliefs. Belongs to them. They get the umbilical cord, the one they cut, and they throw it in the water with the rest of the children. So if this umbilical cord sinks in the water, that means that child is not theirs. And if this umbilical cord floats, so they got their own story. And then some other clans in Africa will make hen or chicken or whatever, eat the umbilical cord of the child, and they throw it up in the sky. And a hen that will die, they will know definitely this child does not belong to the family. That's why this child died, as they throw these stuffs up. And if the hens come back alive, they would say, okay, this child belongs to the family. That's why this head, our ancestors did not kill this child. So Africans had their own techniques now. Recently, we are seeing high increase of DNA, and a lot of African women are in a hot suspense. It's kind of crazy. I'm sorry that I'm looking at the situation. At times I feel sorry, but at times I laugh because people have mixed feelings about this whole DNA thing. People have mixed feelings. Others are saying it is not okay for an African man to have a DNA test. But again, you have to know. So others are saying, it's okay. It's high time the women who be lying to their husbands get caught. And others are like, okay, it is just not okay. Our ancestors used not to do this. And I quote today, my mom was telling me a story of a man who raised like 4 children who were not his, and he knew that these children were not his. And whenever he would get drunk, he would, climb up a little mountain and start shouting the names of the fathers of those children. Like, let me say, for example, you shout like, hey, Robert, come for your son. I got your son in my house. And then he gets another. And hey, James, come for your son tomorrow. I got your son in my house. So this man knew these children did not actually belong to him, and he knew the very men these children belonged to. But whenever the alcohol was off, he would still be a father to these children, and he has actually raised these children, educated them, and they're really big people in the country until this man passed on. And now his real biological children, having known that these other 3 children did not belong to their father, they turned against them, and they had to, issues of the land, get away, this is not your place, go back to your father, and all that. So these children did not really get experience with their father or from where their father comes from. So since they are grown up, they just started to live their life of their own. And of course, I had to leave. Now, we had a lot of stories in Africa. Recently, DNA was for the rich, and now there is one story. Actually, I think yesterday a man committed suicide. I had 2 children. A girl and a boy, a daughter and a son. And when he took them to a DNA, he realized that the son was his, but daughter wasn't. So this man, I think, was psychologically damaged, and he climbed a story building and committed suicide. So he threw himself down, and boom, he was dead. So we are seeing a lot, actually. The issue of DNA is not only about Africa, but when we talk about African women being in such catastrophe, it is and also the connection with the history. But I don't know how to define this, but the issue of DNA actually has given another side has given me another side of how I'm viewing a lot of things that are going on all over. First of all, if at all, because I watched a show where grown-up men like I remember, I think the youngest of the men in the show was like 72 years. So this is what we are talking about, their history. And it is very funny how actually I feel so ashamed to say this, but this is it. So apparently, men used to raise children who were not theirs those days back, and they were fine, and they could justify, like, I go for days, I go for months, I then go for a year, because of course those days we used not have like big means of transport or something like that. And then they go for something like 6 months, leaving their women behind. And when they come back, they look at it like, okay, probably my woman must have slept around with somebody else for a year. And of course, this is a child now we are having. And first of all, they always believed in, pride. So they were so much, they never wanted to shame like the family, because once your wife is ashamed, I think you're ashamed as well. So African men always had that feeling that if somebody else gets to know that someone else pregnanted your wife, probably they're going to say you're not man enough. That's why somebody else had to do that for you. So in that pride, in that, I don't know, they always used to keep quiet about a lot. So you'd be around knowing that the boy I'm having here belongs to probably my friend or somebody else. I don't know where that is animalic. It's a kind of a animal situation thing of you being sleeping around. You go around and sleep with somebody else, and somebody comes and sleeps with your wife, and then that you be having children, raising children from different places. And I think it is an animalic kind of situation. But yeah, that was the situation, and I've come to realize that people were in terms with it. Seeing people tripping all over social media, a lot of them are like, this has come to break marriages. But if you really don't want to break marriage, why should you be sleeping around? And I also know they're not bringing it straight. I don't know how DNA tests are done over there, but I feel like if I told you to carry out a DNA test, you should do it on both parents, especially for those who produce from the hospitals, because there is also high chances of people taking your baby and replacing your baby. There are high chances in Africa with that. A lot of people will be having children who are not theirs because the children were switched. Rich women want to have kids they're not able to have, so they go and take other people's children. They switch with a dead child. We have seen all these stories in Africa a lot and many times. So I feel like if they are going to carry out this DNA test, at least rather they do it from on both parents. If it is me, Maria, they do it, and whoever the father, they also do it. So not saying that they're going to carry it on, because I saw a woman collapse. Like, I mean, how do you collapse? Like, really? I mean, she has been waiting eagerly for this DNA. What made her collapse? That means probably this woman is very 100% sure that this child belongs to the husband. But the DNA results are saying otherwise. So the woman is like, I've never like met any other man. You're the only man I've ever seen. Now, how come this DNA? So other people are like saying maybe she's just crazy and she's just trying to, you know, play. But no one can do that. You can see emotionally she's broken, and probably there is a fault or a mistake somewhere. So I guess people are trying to ask at least if they could do the same DNA test on the woman to see if that child really belongs to her, so that we can clear the air. In Africa, when things do happen, it does not only happen to you. We live communion, so we know everybody's business down here. So if everything happens, if anything happens, we get to know whatever has happened. For those who have just joined us, thank you very much for joining. You can also drop in your comment and tell us, what do you think about DNA test? Is it okay for African men to do DNA test, or should they stay with these children and take care of them as their fathers, if at all those children are respective? And how about about if the child loves you more than your own biological children? Because I've ever seen that experience. I've ever seen that somewhere. I've ever seen a man who has been taken care of over children that the wife came with. Actually, this man married a woman who had children. So his children were just so not okay. Okay, so these other children that this woman came with in the end are the ones who took care of their stepfather. So my question is for you who is watching Black Horse Fire Network right now, my biggest question to you is it okay for men to have DNA tests to confirm, or under what circumstances should men run DNA tests? Is it okay for African men to have DNA tests, I repeat, is it okay for African men to have DNA tests done on their children, or under what circumstances should the African men run the DNA test? How would you feel if you wake up right now and you get to realize that the child you raised for probably 30 or 40 or even 10 years is not your child? Would you let this child go, or would you feel heartbroken, or would you still be proud to be the parent of this particular child? Africans here are still, we are seeing this, we see in Nigeria where people are even committing murder. A man goes about and kills a wife simply because he realizes that the children that he has been taken care of are not his. In Uganda, we are seeing a man committing suicide. We are seeing a man, actually this man was he's running all over social media. People are saying he was healthy. I think now he has lost weight totally, so people are like, this guy may die because we only had one child. Now this woman went ahead and left this child when the child was like 2 years. He left this child with that man. This man has been taking care of that child, putting the child on the back, moving with this child everywhere to do some labor, and now he has some money. He still has this child. So what what is this? So in the end, they come to realize that after everything, this man came to understand that this child, does not actually belong to him. So he was like going crazy because he loved this girl with all his heart. And now the man is like, please, they should bring back my daughter because, and now how do you repay? Should men pay back? If I take care of your daughter, should you pay back all the wasted money I've invested in your daughter? Or, I don't know. By the way, I was thinking, leaving the men aside, these children will be 100% traumatized because you have grown up knowing this father, and then somebody else along the run, you're told that this is not actually your dad. It is someone else is your father, maybe someone you've never met. But again, I come to realize that like a lot of women know. There is no man who doesn't know who pregnanted her. That's why we have a proverb in Swahili that says, Mama ni moja wa baba ni kumi. Like you have one mother. Your mother is your mother. That's 100% sure. Unless you assume nowhere. So your mother remains your mother. But every woman knows who pregnanted her in the end. And, research shows that a lot of these women actually tell the real fathers of these children. They be come and like, I'm having your daughter, though I'm married this side, I have your real daughter, or I have your son, so be around and, know that. And a lot of women choose the men that feel like they have the potential, they have the capability of taking care of their children. So they choose these men because they have the potential to take care of their children, or even they love kids. So it's going to be, with Africa, everything beats so hard. Everything in Africa hits really so deep and so hard. And now a lot of people are living in trauma because right now, so I don't know. I wouldn't be laughing at the situation, but truth is truth. So we cannot reject the truth. I put that's my thought actually. So if it's going to be at least maybe to put a hold on people who are doing a lot of bullshit out there, because tomorrow I'm going to be a mother, and I wouldn't want to see this happen to my son or ever. But at the same time, it is weird how some men reject their own children and go ahead and love children who are not there simply because they love their mothers. So I've also seen that story. It's crazy. Though a lot of women now are so frightened. We have a lot of important issues. DNA is important. Yeah, I know. Ha, I know. More especially. I don't know, it's crazy. It's just so crazy. So when you do the DNA test, then the next time you're not going to, you feel like you can't love this child anymore, or you feel like the child you have, the love you have for this child reduces, or you feel confused, you get mixed feelings about this whole thing, or I don't know. It's it's just not, you know, I really don't know. Because now the government of Uganda actually is deciding that before you do a DNA test, people need court orders. Why should people need court orders for their own, you know, reasons? Because now men are doing it without without the women knowing, and they're going ahead taking the children for DNA and coming back with the results. And others who find the result very positive, they keep quiet about it. And for those who found the results very disappointing, of course, they react about it. So everyone, for those who are not doing DNA now, they're saying they're doing DNA next month, and I think others saying in the future when I get money, I'm doing it. And other mothers are like, if my son has children, I'll definitely take them for DNA and all that. But this was not the Africa system. Africa were not into you finding out if this child is yours. Africans were raising children. It was very important for you to raise a child, for a child to have a father, for you to groom this child, for you to, protect your legacy and create an army. It did not matter to the African men in history whether these children belonged to them or not. They had nothing like DNA. I guess there was no need for DNA as long as these children were respective, loving, caring, and they carried out their duties. Men were very eager to raise these children and be fathers to them. The same story with the women. Because if you were able to marry a woman who has come with somebody else's child, maybe that's a different story with someone cheating when you're married. I don't know. I'm sure, this whole thing is just so mixed up that I do not really get an answer, but I would love to know your experience and what you think about this DNA test. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing anybody comment and not seeing anybody thought about this scenario. I'm not very equipped in this, and because I have mixed feeling about everything. I don't know whether it's good or not. And I'm looking at the children and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm looking at the mothers, I'm like, what the hell did you do? Why did you do that? And I'm looking at the men and I'm like, damn, I'm sorry. And it's a lot. It's a very big package to carry. And I don't know, but well, everyone has the way they handle their psychological issues. So I hope African men hold it so tight because this is going to be a huge blow to a lot of people, both men and women, married and unmarried, and also to the children, because it is very heavy for a child. You don't tell a child to laugh today and tell the child not to laugh tomorrow. So children actually love those who love them. And what if the father, they're not father? Let me use that word. It's not the biological father, and probably the real father is an irresponsible man. Then where does the future of this child stand? Mom, mom, you're good? Are you grown? I thought you're falling. Okay. Mama, you're DNA. So we are seeing like a lot of people actually, recently we saw, people been doing this bullshit all the time. More especially the rich people. More especially the rich people, they be going, you go for hustle. It is just not right. I don't know. I know there is cheating somewhere. If I say they should not do it, it is not satisfying. So they should do it, I guess. That's very satisfying. Even if I try to handle, what's mom saying? Even if they try to handle these issues, it is only satisfying when you get to know that truth. Otherwise, we are going to see people trying to reject their duties that they have been rejecting. But now it's going to increase unless someone is 100% sure of whether these children belong to them or not. And now we are living a threat down in Africa. Women are trying to justify issues like the hospitals. I mean, can you imagine when you picture Africa? Until I've seen a lot of crazy things, and I don't expect to see grown-up women doing the same bullshit. It is okay for this our generation doing that crap because people have been so disrespectful and not organized at all. I feel so disappointed. I'm sorry. I'm not like saying I'm very perfect. You cannot. I don't know. I'm not like saying I'm perfect or yeah, but if you also look at the side of somebody who wants to find out the truth, then they also have the reason and they also have, the right to do that. And the children also have the right to know where they come from. That's what we've been having a lot. You see, you're having children, they're having dear friend and all that kind of thing. You know, you don't know those children belong to somebody else. And now Africans are opening up. Before women used to do this, now they are caught because the government is reducing the price of DNA tests, making it very affordable for everyone, which is a risk to every cheater or everybody who has been sleeping around. People are not eating anymore down in Africa, and people are not having water anymore. They are very scared and frightened because the situation is terrible for the mothers and the fathers of the nation. It is very appalling for the children that they may not have, a better life probably, and others may not have a better, and others may be very disappointed. Psychological trauma everywhere. It is hard down here. I can say that. But I would really love to see your comment. Like, what do you say, Mama and number yake? What do you think, and what do you say about? Oh yes, what do you think, and what do you say about DNA test? Is it okay for a father to go and have a DNA test? You know, with children, or it is okay for you to just love and care for those children and raise them as the father you are? You can drop in your comment and tell me. And what experience have you had with the DNA test? Yeah. I know men will be saying women are very crazy. We are very crazy people. Women be and I see there is this DNA stuff I always see on YouTube, like women be putting men on child support even when they know these men are not the fathers of the children they're bearing, but they put them on child support. and men go through a lot. I read an article where another man was taken actually into custody, police custody, you see. Um, so yeah, everyone has a ground. I don't know why I this. You can still drop in and say hello to me. Let me know who's watching. I'll laugh for an hour. So I don't know. I don't have a hand. Maybe it's my network. I hope I'm audible. My network is just on and off. And I thought like at this time it will be on. I don't know why it's doing shit like this. I hope it's great. So apparently in Africa we did not have ojabana baba kutoka Rwanda. Shaka kitu tufanete kwa kuleta roho. So a lot actually we as the Africans in here in Africa in history trying to do a paternal test on your child was not, and some women were very careful on how they do their things, and some other women knew because, like I was telling you at the beginning of this show, we did not have DNA, but people had their traditional ways of finding out if children belong to their families. For example, there are most of these DNA were about the umbilical cord. Remember, that umbilical cord is a very, very spiritual thing when it comes to African spirituality. So they were using the umbilical cord, the child's umbilical cord, to identify if this child really belongs to the family. And that's why a lot of African people keep the umbilical cord. Once they cut the umbilical cord, they do not throw it away. You keep it because once you're taking this child to see the grandfather from the father's side, you go with this umbilical cord and you leave it there. I don't know, but that was tradition because that proves. And every woman who was not sure of these children could never give the umbilical cord to the other family. So if you're very sure that this child belongs to my husband, you carry the umbilical cord and you take it over the other side to the grandfather. And whatever they do with it, I don't know. But that was African tradition, of course. And as modernity came in the picture, people started, letting go all this situation. Women started doing a lot of things. It is one thing for me to tell you this child is not yours, but it's another thing for me to be quiet about it and trying to lie about it. The women in history, the women in Africa before now, even if they would have children who are not who did not belong to this man, the men would know. The men would know that I'm having so and so's son. And the men would even meet and say, you know what, General Mosquito, I'm having your son over here. And General Mosquito will be, I know, bro. Crazy shit, yeah? But that's it. General Mosquito, thank you very much for coming through. Good evening. I hope you're doing good. Ooh, I thought I'm not audible because nobody was saying hi to me. But thank you for coming through. How is London? I hope you're doing good. My dear. I hope you're doing good. I didn't. Okay, yesterday you just came and disappeared just like that. Yeah, I understand. You must have been busy yesterday. That's why. And I hope you're doing great too. So, General Mosquito, what do you think about this DNA test? What do you think about DNA test? Do you think it is a good thing for Africa to be running DNA tests? And what is the motive behind the African government reducing the cost of DNA to make it affordable for everyone to, run? And they are trying to select cells. I guess they might even make it free. I had some women even eat the umbilical cord, that is general mosquito. Why do they eat the umbilical cord? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Probably I know about my culture or the culture in Uganda, I guess. Even if you're carrying this child, taking the child to the ground, they'll ask you like, where is the umbilical cord? Because you have to leave it there. So I don't know what they do with it, but something is done for them to identify that child belongs. And at times that child is not that. I think the child keeps on crying all the time. And then they use the umbilical cord to identify that child. Why do the women eat the umbilical cord? I don't know. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that, but I know about us. You have to keep that umbilical cord. You will find a woman, even if she has like 7 children, she has all their umbilical cords. And in some other cultures, they will get those umbilical cords, pour in a basin of water, and they throw all those umbilical cords in the water. So the umbilical cord that does not belong to that family will select itself out. So people will know those are this child does not belong. They will select this, it will separate itself from the rest of the umbilical cords. So at least that one thing I know. So Africans be doing this thing. And now Mazungu's DNA comes in right now. And we are seeing the majority actually of the rich people. Rich people have problems. Rich people have problems. Rich men in Africa have problems. There is something that people really, really ignore. People always, when it comes to African sexuality, I'm sorry to say, people usually say, when it comes to African sexuality, people always say, the African men cannot have one woman and all that kind of thing, General Mosquito, yeah. But they tend to forget that as the blood of the African man boils, so does the blood of the African woman boil. So I guess people usually neglect this concept. They focus on an African man cannot have one woman. An African man cannot da blah blah. But if you're having those women, are you able to satisfy all these women? Because as you focus on the African man's sexuality, we are all made on the same cloth. What does that? Okay, we are all made on the same cloth. We are all made from the same cloth. Okay, so as you talk about these other men, then don't neglect the women because we are all the same. The only difference is the other one is a male and this one is a woman. As you get all these women, are you able to fulfill all their needs at the same time? Or are you neglecting them? So I guess this calls also for attention of a lot, and that's why we see a lot of dissatisfaction and, of course, issues are raising majorly in families of rich guys who always go for work, leave the women, come back tired, go for work, go for work shifts, and all that kind of things. Their children belonging to the gatemen and the cleaners and all that kind of thing, people around. Approve of the DNA test. I've known some friends that have been lied top about being the father of a child, and it was completely false. The umbilical cord is normally stolen by the hospitals and used for medical research. Yeah, General Mosquito, there are these, I know they always mistake, but there is that umbilical cord that breaks away. Okay, they tie the baby's cord, and as the baby grows, it breaks, it dries up and breaks, and that's when so yeah, women have been doing this a lot. Actually, if you have a woman, like a woman has the children, like if at all they are like four and all of them are yours, my God, you're so blessed. Because actually, research has given it that like almost there is a probability that 70% of the women have children who belong to other men. I really stick around and be pushing you to do a lot. Okay, I know there is cheating. Like I wouldn't be asking a lot from you because deep inside, every woman knows who is the father of the child she has. Unless sleeping around is the business that gives you money that you wouldn't know. Unless you be sleeping around, but like with like five or two more than one man in a day, then there you may have a little confusion. But if at all that is not the case, every woman knows. Every woman knows who is the father of their children. I know most of them will deny about it. And it's very funny how men really love children who are not theirs. The experience I've seen is men love children who are not theirs. The love is just so abnormal. I don't get, but yeah, yeah. The umbilical cord is normally stolen. Yeah, that's what General Mosquito was saying. Okay, so you will say like the women will eat the umbilical cord um to approve the DNA test. Now, how how does that chemistry work? How does the chemistry work? Because if I eat, I'm the mother of this child. So if I eat a cord, how will it show? Like maybe if men were eating it, so it shocks you that you get to know that the child is not yours. Okay, it's a funny thing. I'm sorry that I'm laughing, but I'm sorry that I'm laughing about this, but it's a painful moment. And as a family is disorganized, the entire nation is disorganized. You know, so we are seeing a lot, and I guess a lot of men are going to get disappointed, and they may never trust women again, and they may never. It's very painful. It's very painful for you to love and raise a child, knowing that this child is yours, and in a long run, you get to find out that this child actually does not belong to you. And the funniest thing is, let's assume now you find to realize that the child you're having belongs to the gate man or the cleaner. Okay, that is a very big blow. And actually, women do this. Women, usually most women don't cheat on their husbands with the men who are higher or something like that. They cheat on their husbands with men who are just like not even to the level of their men, and I still ask like why these girls ain't loyal. Chris Brown 214. Hi chocolate drop, what's up? Penda mwonekano. Napenda mwonekano wangu leo. Shukran, asante sana. Yeah, weya. Sikuoni yako, naona sijui ni jembe. Hii ni nani yenye iko kwa dipi yako? So zitasema zinapenda. But yeah, my network is on and off. I don't know why, but yeah, sasa Yeah, Robert Williams, thank you for coming through. Tunasema today tunazungumza kwa mambo ya DNA. I hope you know Swahili. Baya. Let me go back to English. We are discussing about the increase of DNA test in Africa. Sasa hivi tunaona kwa nchini kwetu Uganda watu wengi sana wanaogopa yani, a lot of people have been doing the DNA of late, na watu wengi wako disappointed, na watoto wengi wamewacha heartbroken, and a lot of things happening down here. But Yako, Robert Williams, what do you think about this situation? And niambie sasa, is it okay for men to go for a DNA test, or should they let the children be? Just love the children for who they are. And I mean, this is my baby, and I'm gonna love my child till the end. Is it okay for you to go for a DNA test and find out so that you can love good? I don't know if you're not loving good, but maybe for you to be social, or is it your right for you to have a DNA test? Whatever. What do you think about the DNA test? And drop in your comments on Black Hot Fire Network. Yeah. General Mosquito says that I believe you can now have a DNA test during pregnancy. I don't know if that technology has reached here. But yeah, I know it is. They have that too. I don't know, but I guess now people are taking direct, taking direct children to the hospital for that, or maybe they remove some of them to do that, maybe hair or whatever they do. But I don't know if we have the one for pregnancy in Africa yet, but I think it is there. I don't know. What is the DNA testing allegedly being used for? Dwight Davidson is asking about what is the DNA testing allegedly being used for. I don't know how this dropped in, because I don't know how it is important for the government actually to reduce the price. And so it's like they're giving offer. Mzungu is giving offer to the African people actually. So they're reducing the prices of DNA. There is a hospital in the US actually offering DNA test at a free service in Uganda. I don't know why y'all Americans be having your business down here a lot. Okay, so they are offering the DNA services at a free cost, but at least that the government gets a little bit money, I guess, for whatever. You can never have free things when if they're free. So I don't know why the American hospital chose to have free DNA tests here, but a lot of people are getting crazy. We are seeing disappointment, and I'm actually disappointed myself. Like, what is actually going on? Anyway, yes, it's good to get a DNA test to approve fatherhood. Dwight Davidson says it's good to get a DNA test to approve fatherhood. And yeah. And, during the days of our ancestors or our forefathers, the time, people even used to have children who do not belong to them. As I was beginning this show, I gave you a story, like my mama told me about the story. And I know this guy, he's a very prominent guy, by the way. And so this guy was raised by a father who was actually not his. And this man had almost 3 children who not belong to him. But he loved these children. And one is a captain in the army, and he's a great man. He's a medical personnel. But as he grew up also knowing that, they say I belong to the other man down the hill. And he looked exactly like this man 100%. In Africa, you just don't, people look alike. If your father, your father, nobody's going to say this is not your father. I don't know why men don't see this. Yeah. So this man always used to see and say, yeah, I come from down the hill. Even passes the father, looks at himself, is like, this must be my dad. But because the dad never welcomed him up, and the father also knew that is my son. But this man, for the fact that he knew everything, is to raise these guys, took care of them. And until when he grew up, they took care of him too. But unfortunately, when he died, the children who believed they were biological children started mistreating these ones, chasing them away. You don't belong here, you belong down the hill, and all that kind of story. And of course, that's when their father passed on, and these guys had to leave the family and they went back. This man took care of these children because in Africa it was more than DNA. It was more than DNA. It was having children was bigger. That's why it was easy for a man to go ahead and marry a woman for the sake of her children. And that's why. And there was a lot of forgiveness, and people focused on children. So they would not really care because as you have your child in your house, your child belongs to somebody else. And raising children was communion. The only difference is the children are sleeping here, they're having my name, but we are raising these children together. I guess that's why they did not feel the weight of having these children. And then secondly, today people usually talk about polygamy. We talk about African men not being able to have one woman. I mean, they're black boys a lot. They have a lot of huge plans. They have a lot of word. And for whatever reason, you'll all be thinking it's okay for you to have more than one woman. But they all forget that we are all made from the same cloth. As the blood of the African man boils, that's the blood of the African woman boil. But it takes probably somebody's mind and decision to say, I'm turning away from this and I'm focusing on this thing. So not everyone is able to control themselves. People be doing a lot of bullshit around. And the biggest population of people who are actually have raising children who are not theirs are actually the rich, who do not have time for their wives. They go for seminars. The woman gets to know that my husband is sleeping around in a hotel with somebody else, and she cannot handle it. The next time she's sleeping around with a gay man. I'm not like trying to justify the actions of you lying and cheating and being unfaithful, but this is the reality. I mean, this is what is happening. You see, so a lot. Why is it that the DNA default is falling to those people who are the rich people? Because they got time. They don't have time for a lot of things. Yes, good. This can be used to develop a blow a blow point against Africans, unfortunately. If you know the children are not yours and you still adopt them, that's different from a wife cheating and getting pregnant by another man. I know. I actually know. I really understand that. But I'm trying to tell you what was, what people used to do back then. And if you still follow a lot of African social media accounts, you will see that they have different views when it comes to DNA. Though not everyone is 100% in agreement, but a lot of them are saying, I can never have a DNA. I don't want to know if this child is mine or not. All I want to do is keep on loving this child and having this child and all that. So people have different feelings about this whole situation. And unfortunately, it has caught a lot of women off guard because we used to hear stories of DNA and we are like, yeah, DNA is for rich. My husband cannot afford it. DNA is for the rich people. So DNA is for rich people. My husband cannot afford it now. America comes in and offers, free services. So that is what is happening. And women are also saying it is a different story for you to know that, women have also their own excuses. Others are saying, for example, there was a scenario that happened and a woman fainted actually after realizing that the DNA comes out that the father she thinks is father to her daughter actually is not. And the woman fainted, and as they came afterwards and asked her, she said, I've never slept with any man. This is a man I've only slept with. Now, how comes the DNA is saying otherwise? And then some other people are saying there is high rates of, child switching at birth in Africa's hospital. The rich people trying to take the children away from their parents, those people who cannot have kids, other celebrities who don't want to carry children, they just come and pay the nurses, and the nurses will just give them other people's children. They switch. Someone wants a boy and you're having a girl, so they switch and you get a boy, she gets a girl. And we've not seen those issues actually, courts carrying on those issues and punishing people. There is a story where a young girl actually she gave birth very well, and after she slept, and as she woke up, she found that the baby she had next to her was dead. So she was not satisfied with it, and she was like, I wasn't satisfied that this is my child. But of course, she had to go and bury, the husband took the baby, they buried the baby, and this woman was never satisfied with this fact. But after some time, they got to know that it was actually a pastoress. The pastor stole their children from the hospital. They paid somebody to take the child, and give them this dead other child. Now you can see the story was quite long and how this pastor came up. So we are having a lot of these people. And then those other people who are in fetish kind of things, looking for, children to sacrifice and all that story, people will believe in some, evil stuff, something. There are high chances that even other women are not the mothers of the children they're claiming they are. So the story is very huge. In Africa, it's going to be a saga, by the way. It's going to be a typical saga called security and, of course, security, government, and, rights are not the same as you guys over there. So there are high chances that a lot of women are having children who are actually not theirs. So I guess it's high time the government's going to understand that people are having children who are not theirs and they even don't know. So probably DNA test is an eye opener for various things, despite of the fact that people are looking at it as a way of finding whether the child belongs to you. But I guess we are going to also get to know that the government have been very reckless when it comes to mother to child birth. During that duration, there has been a lot of switching in this process, and unfortunately, it affects a lot of poor people because they choose those poor people that actually hospitals are going to be sued. And we also know that a lot of children were taken for some tests and what have you. So I hope they land on someone who has such kind of experience. And yeah, we shall have another topic to talk about at that time. Jabo, thank you very much for coming through. How are you doing? I hope you're doing good. We're talking about DNA testing in Africa. What do you think about DNA testing? Is it okay for you to have a DNA test to prove if the children are yours or not? Or you're just okay with lab DNA bullshit testing? Jabba says he thinks it's a great idea, especially in the US. I love it when living in Africa. Yeah, me, I like it. Me, I like it. As I close this, I'm going to tell you the truth. I like it because mandatory paternity test, Maria. I see you made it back from vacation. Kim Williams, I'm always here. Today is the third day this week. I'm going to be counting my days this time around. And as I clock Friday, I'll tell you now, this is the fifth day. And as I start the other Monday, I'm going to be this is the, yeah, I want to be doing that. Okay, Dwight David says a bioweapon against Africans can be developed using this. Exactly. Because, I mean, why now? That is the biggest issue. Now, everybody's focusing on the fact that people are going to find out they are not knowing, because why should US come in? I mean, I thought they had withdrawn their aid simply because Uganda did the homosexual bill and all that. Now, how do they jump right in to start offering free DNA tests to Ugandans? I mean, what to say? Why are they doing this? Now, Dwight Davidson drops in a comment and says a bioweapon against Africans can be developed using this. They take the DNA samples for everybody. They get to know people are willingly going to sell themselves out, whatever. But yeah, hospitals need alarms on newborn and children like in America. We have had baby switching cases here too. Robert Williams says in America they've had baby switching too. Now, yeah, and here it is very, very common. Unfortunately, it goes unnoticed. It goes unnoticed. I was just talking about you in the WhatsApp. Me, I'll be there. By the way, I see everything. It's just that I don't know. I didn't see that though, but I will check and see what you were talking about. Mm? Please post a heads up on the app so we can find you when you are broadcasting. Thanks. Okay, I should post a heads up on the app. All right. Okay, okay. I will, Jibijaba. Thank you. I will. So apparently, you know, yeah, I think Dwight Davidson's comment has a huge, it's a big deal actually, because I'm still also wondering as to why would they want to offer us that free service? Why would they want to offer us that free service? How is it important for them, for the African men to identify the children or find out if they are the fathers of these children? There are a lot of important things to do than this. There are a lot. Before even you do that, I think people should even be going through counseling and all that. Counseling. I don't know how, but of course, like I told you yesterday, some a man committed suicide. He dived from a third building and killed himself after finding out that among the two children, between the two children he had, the girl was not his. So he just went and killed himself. Now, people have to go through counseling and they have to accept whatever result that will come with it. And then we are seeing another man has fallen ill after all this. So you can understand that you cannot just dive right into it. It can be designed to kill only tribes in Uganda. Oh, they will not get us. So they will not get us. Hopefully, hopefully. And Jiba Jaba, I promise next time I will do it. Except that nowadays I'm not using my phone, so that's why it is hard for me to drop in a comment on WhatsApp. I'm gonna try my best and make sure I do alert you guys before I come on. My time is up, family. I know Keith is coming live at exactly 8, which of course is 8 right now. It's African time, 8:30 past 8. So I guess he's coming to have his show. And thank you very much, of course, for those who have dropped in their comments. Thank you very much for coming through. Jib Jabba, Dwight Davidson. Oh, General Mosquito, thank you so much for keeping me here. I mean, you came earlier, and yeah, when I see somebody say hi, that there is a way it motivates me to, and but thank you very much, General Mosquito, for staying around. Jibba Jabba, thank you for coming too. And of course, Kay Williams, yeah, I'm here and thank you for coming. Robert Williams, asante, thank you so much for coming through. And General Mosquito, I say that thank you, a very big, huge, extra large, big thank you for keeping me here in Robert Williams, blessing him to be. Thank you thank you for coming to Dwight David Sign, Jibby Jabba. Yeah, I was about to say and second one. I'm not seeing and second one. I'm not seeing Lando for quite some time, the entire week. I've not seen Lando Winter tea, but I hope he's doing great. So guys, thank you very much for coming through and for dropping those good, extra good comments. It has been me, African Maria, you're on Blackout Fire Network, broadcasting live from Kampala, Uganda. See you tomorrow sometime. Love you and take care. Bye.